Good morning. Happy Sunday. Here we are in my cathedral of trees. Although the leaves are gone, and soon we'll have only the colors of the conifers and the browns and grays and the blue sky, hopefully. It's been overcast. It's supposed to rain. It's pretty chilly, but it's nice to be out. It's heartening, if you will. I think that we should take a glance at the big picture, which is our government, the three departments: executive, Congress, judiciary. I mentioned something about the judiciary yesterday, and I think I'm going to, on my podcast, talk about the speech that Alito gave, which was really more like a senator speaking. It was a justice of the Supreme Court anticipating legislation or executive actions having to do with the pandemic. And he's letting us know he's going to resist it. And he resents the fact that 5 senators joined in a case earlier in the year. And I take it as a sign that the Federalists and Judge Alito specifically are concerned about losing their mojo. And I think that's encouraging. Let's go to the House. The House had a 2.5-hour conference with the Democrats the other day, and some Democrats, particularly those who lost their seats, are upset with the more liberal trend in the Congress, or progressive, depending on how you look at it. But how do you lead if you don't say something? We're at a point where we have to keep pushing for reform, especially since we have so much ground to make up to return to where we were before the thing that is Trump became a reality that we all suffered. Bobby Kennedy, I've quoted him before on this point, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And I don't know, a little belly aching by members of Congress. They're still in control of the House. So I find that distressing. And the attack basically in the conference call, which is supposedly off the record, was, oh, you want to defund the police, and that hurt us in these communities. But defund the police, there are probably few places where that's exactly the remedy. Minneapolis maybe be one of those. There are places where there's time for discussion, where we do have peacekeepers instead of Nazis. Racists are not prevalent in many jurisdictions. So we have to keep that in mind. I think the real question is, how will the House go forward with what leadership? I must admit, my preference is that Pelosi is a proven wartime representative, wartime in the sense of a peacetime wartime in our politics. So I think that because they didn't do better than they did, I think that's noticed that we have a lot of work to do with America, and a lot of damage was done with Trump, and we have to keep working that problem. The Senate, that's one of those things that it may be a long shot and it may not, because our politics is so volatile, and we have to work that problem to see if we can get that kind of narrow sliver of control of the Senate that could make a big difference. Now, let's return to the White House and the man who holds his breath, Trump, who he's just going to sit there. You know, his million-man march yesterday turned into several thousand, and the MAGA people were out in force. And in the evening, there were some incidents of violence. But they continue to say things that are untrue. And we cannot trust, as a predicate for public discourse, those people who lie all the time. I guess the question is, when Trump finally has to concede, delaying as much as he can for as long as he can, will he come to the inauguration and be the unwelcome guest for all of the trouble he's caused for the 4 years, and even this cowardly way that the loser wouldn't concede? And again, there's no requirement that he concede, but there are statutory requirements that he cooperate with the succeeding presidential team that's coming in, and he's not been doing that so far. Mark Twain, I think he said something along the lines that history may not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And there is in history examples of this. For instance, the Federalists resisted Adams when he was president of the United States seeking re-election. And no less than Alexander Hamilton, a founder of the Federalist Society, who wanted a strong central government to offset the Articles of Confederation, which gave us a weak set of governments that had no force. He wrote against Adams, and Adams, I'm sure, resented that. And Jefferson and Burr were running as president and vice president, but they got the same vote. And the House then had to decide by our Constitution who was the president. And Hamilton, who was the Federalist and therefore opposed to Jefferson, the Jeffersonian Republican Party, he supported Jefferson over Burr because he thought Burr was terrible. And you all know how Burr ended up shooting him over other things, supposedly, including who would control that party. Well, Adams, on the day of the inauguration, he was nowhere to be found. Could Trump do that for us? Because it would be great if he left town, but I don't think he will. That's not his nature. And why did Adams leave town? Well, it was a bitter election, like I've said, but it was also because his son died of alcoholism. So he was terribly depressed, and he got on a stagecoach at 4 a.m. and went to Baltimore. So where do we stand in America? Well, our resolve, the tough get going, continues in a better framework. Trump will be gone. We'll still have the House. We have initiatives that need to be accomplished. They'll be difficult with the Senate if the Senate is in Republican control. And I'd say there's a 82% chance that's going to happen. I just made up that percentage. But I don't think it's wrong. So about 1 in 5 chance that we could get those 2 Senate seats. That's probably being charitable. But things happen in politics, and when the pandemic increases, we could have some pleasant surprises in the sense that we could have the ascendancy of our values. And what is the one lesson we have from all of this? The Electoral College, damn it, is not representative of America. And when you can get 5 million votes more than the guy you're running against, and it's not reflected across the nation, and that you can cherry pick states to win in the Electoral College when the sense of the nation is to go forward with a different agenda. That's a strong statement. So that's my thinking on this chilly, overcast day in Virginia. And I hope you're doing well. Be very careful about the epidemic. It really is coming back. And people are doing stupid things like those people at the White House last night. That is, that they didn't wear masks, they weren't distancing, etc. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.